Let us execute an immediate, sweeping analytical vector shift away from sun-drenched Caribbean resort pavilions, tropical hurricane lockdowns, and the deceptive party confessions of destination group Suspense, and plunge straight into the high-octane, calculation-heavy tracking grids of pristine English country estates, weaponized psychological dominance, and the fiercely protective, dangerously fragile world of an endangered sister and maternal guardian asset running a raw tactical survival loop. We are crossing the threshold directly into the hyper-monitored, windowless basements of an absolute domestic nightmare, exploring the lethal analytical parameters of an intense, trust-shattering deception matrix with behind closed doors, the exceptional, pulse-pounding structural masterpiece engineered by the absolute, undisputed sovereign of suffocating marital captivity, dark psychological imprisonment, and high-velocity domestic dread, B.A. Paris. This high-stakes narrative tracking sequence delivers an exceptional look at an operational crossroads where a fierce, underestimated female captive asset running an unyielding safety loop, a calculating, profoundly sociopathic legal predator running a high-stakes proximity tracking routine, and an absolute defense of a vulnerable sister's final survival metrics collide at terminal velocity. Let us map the strategic narrative grid. If you are an elite enthusiast of high-octane, slow-burn psychological thrillers where an endangered, hyper-observant female protagonist must navigate an absolute maze of rigged high-society dinner parties, corrupt architectural isolation, and a deadly ring of active psychological gaslighting loops while running a blind survival loop inside a completely compromised residential fortress where an analytical mind uses deep behavioral profiling, calculated internal boundaries, and absolute emotional stamina to outmaneuver an invisible predatory executioner asset, and where the author utilizes an incandescent, seemingly perfect marriage masks a brutal captivity where a psychopathic lawyer keeps his wife locked away to target her disabled younger sister diagnostic routine to test our hero's structural limits, this book is engineered to lock you in. Paris completely dominates the high-precision marital imprisonment meets suffocating sororal protection puzzles dynamic, capturing the heart-racing intellectual momentum, suffocating domestic paranoia, and heavy deductive depth popularized by genre varks like Gillian Flynn, Freida McFadden, Corinne Slaughter, and Lucinda Berry, while treating realistic somatic psychological trauma logistics, complex sociopathic profiling alignment arcs, and protective high-density psychological extraction grids with absolute technical mastery. The narrative tracking grid zeroes in on the highly volatile, calculation-heavy baseline of our central legendary powerhouse asset, Grace Angel, operating under a severe calculation-heavy handicap of absolute physical isolation, zero independent financial access, and a hyper-visible targeting canvas within her husband's elite social database. Behind Grace's rigorous high-society homemaker footprints and tense personal history logs lies an intricate matrix of hidden faction allegiances, deeply buried survival strategies, and sharp, high-stakes tactical maneuvers. Her collective defense mechanisms are locked down tight behind a lifetime of protecting her younger sister Millie, who has Down syndrome, and surviving complex emotional ambushes, her entire analytical focus strictly consumed by monitoring sudden threat vectors from her monstrous husband, parsing complex behavioral shifts from visiting neighborhood couples, and shielding her vulnerable sister node from being entirely wiped out by a ruthless elite cleanup offensive. The spark ignites when an unexpected high-frequency structural anomaly breaches her active scanning perimeter. A whirlwind romance with the brilliant, charming defense attorney Jack Angel terminates in a terrifying baseline reveal on their wedding night, transforming her dream marriage into a high-level calculated malice. Behind Jack's celebrated track record of defending battered women lies a chilling, calculation-heavy profiling engine designed to inflict absolute control, revealing his signature containment directive to lock Grace away and prepare a specialized basement prison room to permanently torture Millie once she turns 18. As the hostile predator's execution phases enter an increasingly lethal terminal tier across a dual timeline tracking grid, alternating between her current suffocating captivity and the steps that led to her imprisonment, the official diagnostic metrics of the Global Tracking Center's flash white hot. Her unauthorized internal counter-surveillance maneuvers and raw defensive output reveal that surviving Jack's flawless public charade requires an absolute, impossibly complex realignment of her historical balance of power. The standard boundaries of routine domestic compliance and peaceful civilian escape protocols crumble, and our central protagonists run completely out of standard diplomatic escape vectors. They are thrust directly into an active, invisible war across their fortified home, where deceptive social status masking true tracking coordinates, highly manipulative system handlers, and a calculation-heavy psychological shadow network launch aggressive countermeasures to permanently suppress her family's survival data stream.
The tactical parameters instantly explode as their historical and survival warfare turns completely active, transforming the isolated residential rooms, dark manicured backyards, and private fortified dinner settings into a volatile psychological pressure cooker and a physical battle zone. Our protective, hyper-vigilant heroine is forced to deploy her massive intuitive tradecraft, elite behavioral mapping skills, and raw maternal stamina to preserve her focus before her adversary's relentless calculation-heavy proximity containment phase permanently deletes her boundaries. The threat vector remains purposeful and resolute, determined to deploy deep geographical insulation, continuous psychological terror loops, and persistent narcissistic dominance to break her defense, only to realize her hardened survival protocols and shifting counter-narratives match his raw tactical speed step for step. Every midnight forensic archival excavation regarding medical prescriptions, every silent choice to stand off against an encroaching adversary behind standard internal barriers, and every intense moment of channeling raw, unyielding survival mechanics chips away at her reliance on original peaceful rules. What follows is an exceptional high-stakes war of perspective, tactical position, and raw human grit. We watch the high society elite's deceptive perimeters completely unwrapped as B.A. Paris reveals that the true victory requires more than just surviving an initial physical containment or managing a difficult marriage crisis. It demands an absolute, uncompromising defense of individual dignity, personal truth, and systemic survival against a cold, calculating machine of domestic manipulation and psychopathic supremacy. While our central characters smooth over each other's psychological and defensive blind spots with devastating analytical force, creating a fiercely protective, absolute web of dark possessive loyalty around their shared sisterly bond, a brutal series of close-quarters tactical confrontations and high-stakes evidentiary breakthroughs shifts the clock into its terminal phase, proving that Millie's sharp, intuitive output has completely remapped the original threat terrain. To survive the impending locked grid trap and permanently secure her sanctuary, our resilient heroine must unleash an absolute, unyielding defense of her final boundary lines. It is a psychological thriller, captivity suspense noir, dark marital mystery, high-velocity contemporary puzzle masterpiece that treats deep relational logistics and intense structural friction with elite precision. The tension here burns with a sharp, calculation-heavy intensity. We're talking about that high-frequency, one-whispered dinner party clue triggers a fatal basement extraction showdown energy, where a sudden pause during an active franchise tactical briefing, an unexpected shift in an adversary's protective physical posture during a high-stakes standoff confrontation, or a heavy possessive realization that an elite intelligence operative has completely mapped your personal coordinates carries massive structural weight. Paris writes with an exceptional, fresh, vivid, and beautifully blunt voice, perfectly capturing the heavy, oppressive atmosphere of a private executive vault before a major corporate takeover, and the distinct, subtle scent of polished mahogany, expensive perfume, cold basement concrete, heavy tranquilizers, dynamic adrenaline, spilled copper, and pure, unadulterated suspense. What truly elevates this contemporary standalone marvel into elite territory is the author's unmatched ability to balance complex, high-stakes relationship dynamics and genuine protective power tradecraft alongside a breathtaking narrative pace and deep emotional hooks. Our protagonists don't rely on unbelievable, superficial Hollywood superhero action tropes. Their immense situational intelligence, strategic patience, and profound survival instincts match the complexity of the chaotic modern corporate and high society underworld they dominate step for step, making their choices to risk everything feel profoundly authentic and deeply gripping. The pacing moves with calculated momentum, tracking intense conversational standoffs and breathtaking tactical breakthroughs, before ratcheting up to an absolute jaw-dropping conclusion that delivers total, hard-earned advancement to their horizon. Behind closed doors is the definitive, pro-level upgrade your high-stakes contemporary thriller and intense asset suspense library demands right now. It is elegant, immensely fast-paced, and utterly unputdownable. It proves that when your entire sanctuary is targeted by a cold, calculating institutional monster, the most revolutionary play you can execute is to lock your perimeters, trust your elite survival training, and fight like hell alongside your network to rewrite the data. So secure your personal reading sanctuary, review your emotional defensive perimeters, open your Kindle, and prepare to track the fleet.